Wow, we're live. I haven't been podcasting in months, so bear with me. But my name is Dua. I am the founder of What You Expect. In the wake of not doing podcasts, we decided to start doing videos. So we're doing a limited edition. I'm joined with two beloved people of mine. We've been binge watching Girlfriends. So this is going to be a limited edition series called Oh Hell No. Um, it's gonna be eight. It's gonna be 8 parts. We're gonna review every season individually and basically talk about the talking points, refresh people what happened during each season. Like I said, my name is Dua. Will you guys introduce yourselves?
Yo, 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 yo. My name is Kevin. I'm the co-host of the Liberish podcast. It's a political wing of What You Expect. Follow me on Twitter or IG at names not Keith. Can't ready to get started on this.
Hey everybody, my name is Hana. I have a podcast, but we haven't been quite active on it lately. It's called the Malibu Podcast. It's me and my best friend. So I am not entirely new to the podcasting game, but a little rusty right now. So y'all bear with me. Are we doing like about me? Like, is this what's happening? No, y'all don't really do about y'all.
I mean, you can tell them what your social handle is. You can tell them that you're an influencer.
Yeah, tell us whatever you want.
I'm not an influencer. My social handle Instagram is Hana JaVale, and then Twitter is just JaVale Hana. I had to switch it up because I don't want my coworkers finding me on Twitter because I feel like that's the real me on there. But yeah, I'm a full-time publicist in like real life, like 9 to 5 world. So there's that. But yeah, let's get into it.
That's right. Co-host. Oh yeah, and I didn't say mine is at Dua Vocals on both. If you don't know, do your Googles. As I said, I said this is called Oh Hell No. We're gonna be talking about Girlfriends. How did you guys first discover Girlfriends? Well, we were little kids, so like how did it start for you guys?
So I don't know, man. I was probably around like 12 or 13 or so, and I was like scrolling through the channels back then because there was no Netflix or anything back in the day. So I just stumbled across this crazy show. And I want to say the first episode I watched was the nude beach episode. So where the girls decided to go to the nude beach, and I was hooked. I was like, oh hell yeah! So I watched this show.
Hilarious.
I think for me, y'all are both a little older than me. So I think I feel like I've been aware of it for a while, but I didn't actually start like tuning in until like further towards the end. So I feel like my furthest or my like more recent recollection of it, I feel like it's like towards the end when Lynn starts like dating the musician guy. Like I don't know. I feel like I got introduced to it at the end, and then as I got older, I like watching them like started going back to the beginning, but even still, I don't think I understood or was able to like appreciate much of the content until now-ish. So similar to other Black people who grew up in like Black households, like I feel like it was just something that was like kind of there, and if you paid attention to it, you didn't. But I feel like most people, like generally, people are like aware of Girlfriends and like Tony, Joan, Lan, Maya. So
yeah, for me, I know my mom used to watch it, so honestly now like watching it now, it's like I look at my mom a little crazy because she was probably around a little older than these women, because I know like the first episode, I know we're gonna get in summary, Joan turned 29, but in real life Joan was like 26. So it was just like my mom probably, it started in 2000, so my mom was like 2000. My mom was 28 in 2000, whatever, I don't know how old my mom was, but
no, she was telling her age.
It's just to like show how like she could have related to these women. Like I could have been Jabari, like for her. So just like small shit like that. It's just like damn.
For Jungle Jam.
Yeah, like I could have been this kid. So it's just like I thought it's real interesting looking back on it, just seeing like women who are basically our age group now or a little bit older, how they were operating in the 2000s.
So I'm going to correct you there. It's not just women. You're forgetting about my man, William.
Oh shit, my fault.
Please, he's in the intro too. Like when you watch it, the intro Girlfriends, he's in there. So please don't Don't throw some shade to the William then.
Yeah, being that you just brought that up, you want to tell us who the characters are for the people who do not know the characters.
Absolutely. All right. So let's go from income on down, right?
Actually, this is going to be interesting. I want to see who you put first.
Of course. Well, of course it's going to be William,
Right.
obviously, right? So William makes the most.
That's what's happening.
It is. Then Joan, then Tony, then Maya, then Lynn.
Yes. I guess you want to hop into the summary. Now that that kind of like segues it. Now that we know who the people are.
Oh wait, before we do that, who's your favorite girlfriend?
Oh shit.
It's hard.
Like who? It's definitely Maya. Like personality wise, I think that's pretty easy.
Interesting.
I could tell you who my least favorite is. That's easy as hell.
That's no fun.
Why?
Is it Lynn?
Does everyone have their least favorite?
Is it Lynn?
You are the same least favorite.
No, I feel like a lot of men's least favorite is Joan.
Yeah, that's a fact. Like she's the worst.
We should. That's going to be an overarching theme for this miniseries. Actually,
what do you think is women's overall least favorite?
Probably William.
Lynn?
No, I feel like I feel like it's a toss up between Joan and Lynn, but I feel like women dislike Joan for different reasons that men probably do. I feel like, and I feel like women just hate Lynn. I feel like universally, if you don't like Lynn, it's because she's a bum. But at the same time, I feel like now we live in a, like, not to like railroad us, but I feel like now we live in like a society where Lynn's like exploratory like perspective on life is like people like appreciate that, and they fuck with a little bit more right now.
Free spirit.
Interesting.
I still think it's kind of bummy. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I understand her like position. I understand why she was there in the show. Like I understand the balance she offered, but it was just too bummy for me. But my favorite girlfriend, I'm kind of torn in between like Maya and Tony, and I feel like I have a soft spot for Tony because even though she's really toxic, it's very clear that like her well, toxic is relative. She might be toxic to somebody, but it's clear that her behavior, like this persona, like, this money, like, oh, I'm so fabulous, like I ain't never going back to Fresno. Like if you really get to the root of it, like my therapist would be so proud of me, but I think it's rooted in fear. Like it's her fear of like never wanting to go back to Fresno and like be poor and like just experience like whatever it is she experienced growing up. So, and I think I got like a soft spot for her because I think a lot of people, they work really hard to break like generational curses and not, just want to be better than what they came from. And sometimes in the pursuit of that, I feel like you make a lot of like mistakes trying to be better, and like there's balance. Like I feel like you can progress without like being as materialistic as she was. Like
yeah, she was wilding.
Shit was crazy. Like I was like, girl.
Oh yeah.
Oh, was she though?
Before we get into the summary, like let's do some claps for shout outs to Netflix for shows. Let's get some claps for them.
Hold on, sir. Can I give my favorite and least favorite girlfriend?
Wait.
Yes.
Least?
Well, yeah, my favorite and least favorite girlfriend.
Why?
I didn't get a chance to go.
Oh, I thought you said Maya is my least favorite girlfriend. I was like, oh, what the fuck?
No. But it's funny you said it. So I thought, Hana brought up a really good point. The show kind of talked about like from a Black conservative point of view, and like Lynn's like free spirited attitude was just like kind of way ahead of his time. Like looking back in the show, like William was a huge Republican, and that was okay. He was friends with everyone. But so like my favorite girlfriend is going to be Tony. I think Tony kind of like made light of very like awkward and pretty dark scenarios, but she kind of made light of it all. My least favorite girlfriend is actually Maya.
Wow.
And as we get later into the episodes, I'm gonna kind of like hit more on why Maya's.
So is that something that we're gonna touch in season 1, or you see that later?
I
Yes.
think
So we're gonna see this later from like season 6 to season 8.
Okay, yeah.
Maya's character kind of goes to like a different arc, and it's just like a very toxic arc that she kind of goes through.
Got you. All right. You want to give us the summary, guys?
But wait, I think before you hit interrupt, like before that happened, Kev was shouting out the fact, like, shout out to Netflix for this. But I think, we need to be a little bit more specific. Shout out to the Black woman that leads Strong Black League, which is like the specific niche division of Netflix that brought us like Sister, Girlfriend, When We Share the Partners One-on-One, all the good stuff. Her like Twitter handle is Jasmine B. Knowin, and her Instagram handle is Jasmine B. Grammin, and she's just really bomb. She works on all the stuff at Strong Black Lead at Netflix, and I've been following her for a while, like before the Girlfriends content was even on the like on Netflix. But she really like puts on for Black people, and I fuck with that. So shout out to her.
I thought you were gonna shout out UPN for a second.
I mean, as well, but like the thing about like UPN is that like we all knew it was there. It's like certain people have to be in certain roles.
I was definitely joking. Hana, that just struck a string with Hana. She was like,
"My bad."
No, go off. You had a good point.
You had beef with UPN, like.
Shout out to UPN, they made it all happen, but like to be like crystal clear, like all good things are the result for Black women, whether we want to admit it or not.
100% agreed.
Shout out to Jasmine
and UPN.
So let's get into the summary.
Is it just for season 1?
Yeah. Yes, just for season 1.
I think this is just the season they like really set us up to understand who all the different girlfriends are. Like we get, like right off the bat, we get introduced to Joan and like how type A she is, and she has this 3-month rule, and like it's very clear that everything for her is like very rigid. Like she has to have certain things happen before other things can happen. Through our introduction to Joan, we like realize that Maya is like not of the same like socioeconomic status as the rest of them, so she's like the ratchet girlfriend, whatever. I guess like whatever you want to call it. I don't really think she's ratchet, but whatever. In the show, that's how she's supposed to be presented to us. We find out that like Tony is materialistic, like self-centered, and then also in season 1, we really get introduced to Lynn in terms of like how, I don't want to call her a bum, but like we just kind of see that she's not as she don't really have her stuff together, or it would appear that she doesn't really have her life together or as put together as the rest of the girlfriends, like compared to the rest of them. And then we just also get introduced to William. I'm not gonna leave William out, but like it's William.
William's the man. He instilled confidence in all young Black men that you can get out here and be a killer. So
yeah, he inspired me.
I think that was a good summary. Dang, I'm just scrolling through the episodes. Like a lot happened. Right?
So let's do this, right? So we just did a whole summary of season 1, right? What would you say was the theme of the overall season?
Oh hell no, that's a hard question. Did someone's phone just ring? I really, honestly, I can't really call it. Like, I just feel like, for me personally, watching it, it was just showing that 4 different types of women can be friends. That was kind of, I was like kind of like the first thing that I got, especially because you're getting introduced to the characters, and they're literally 4 different types of women. So I thought that was kind of the most interesting part, without going into the individual episodes.
Yeah, I feel like I can't really think of any.
And women are trifling.
I can't really think of any off the top of my head right now. Like, I'm trying to think of everything that happened. I feel like towards the end, maybe we kind of flirt with the idea of like boundaries being introduced as a theme, but I can't even really say that, like confidently say that, but that's just the only one that kind of like pops into my head right now.
That's fair. For me, the theme of this season was actually relationships. So we were kind of introduced overall
Ah,
to the girlfriends' relationships, and then we kind of saw like different sides of each relationship. So, for example, you know, Joan's ex-boyfriend shows up to her housewarming party or house party, right? Joan has a new boyfriend. Tony proposes to a new guy, right? So I thought the overall theme of like, the episode was just like relationships, or I'm sorry, the season was just relationships in general.
actually, I agree.
Yeah, I could see that. Um, Dang, I feel like we should just get right into these talking points because I'm ready. I'm ready for it. Um, we can just start literally from episode one. The first talking point is when Tony brings Joan's ex boyfriend to the function. So my question to you guys is: when is it okay to date your friend's ex boyfriend, girlfriend, situation, if it for people who keep things untitled?
I feel like that question, the way you phrased that question, was kind of not kind of wrong, but I feel like a boyfriend, like someone I was in a relationship with, and we have to remember in that episode, it wasn't like he was just like any old boyfriend. Like the reason they kind of broke up was the fact that like Joan had brought up marriage, right? And he was like, no, I'm good off that. Not really feeling it right now. Like they were, for whatever reason, in her head, that question, like that was her boyfriend. I feel like the dynamic might be a little different when if it's like, somebody you just like kind of talking to, maybe I went on like a couple dates. Disclaimer, I don't make it a point on my business to like deal with or date guys that my friends have ever dealt with. Like I've never done that before. Me and my friends have never dealt with the same guy. Um, but I know it happens in like women's friend groups.
It happens in guy friend groups a lot.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Like y'all do that. I feel like y'all intentionally try to do that, but I feel like this Tony and Jones situation was just wild because, like, girl, that's your best friend, and you knew that at one point your best friend had like brought up marriage to that guy. No,
So
regardless if he was with the shits or not, she had brought it up. So that's wild.
would you end a relationship over that?
A friendship?
Yeah, like your relationship with your friend. And Kev, you can chime in too. Like for you, if one of your homies did it to you.
Like nonsense. Like your
Well, I think
sister. Like
well, that's a weapon. We don't endorse violence on this show. Um, no, but you're kind of like glossing over a couple of key points here, Stephen. All right. So first off, it's been a year. They broke up a year ago.
Whether
Second
it's a
off,
year, 10 days, I don't care. But continue.
second off, Tony did ask. She did ask, "Hey, is it okay?" And Joan said, "Go for it."
first of
If
all, no. Pause.
if
She
you
didn't even
were
need to tell her. Like Lynn had to like drag her, like make her tell her. And even when she did tell her, Joan was doing the whole like being too prideful, like, no, it's okay. Like she was doing that thing, which when people do that, you know it's really not okay.
Mhm.
I think you should be straight up and honest with people. And if you're not, you're going to have confusing situations like this. And I'm not going to blame my girl Tony for this at all. If if anything, this is the guy's fault because he intentionally went after Joan's best friend. He intentionally wanted to
I
create
don't
the
think
vision
I
to
don't
go after Joan.
that's one hard thing. I'll stop there. I don't think you can ever blame the like even if it was on the other side. Like I don't think for their situation you can blame the guy because the guy has no loyalty to either people. So if he wants to date a friend, like that's kind of nasty work. I've done that before. It's nasty work. Um, you shouldn't be moving that way for the other end. If I guess if it was two guys and the girl was dating two group of friends, it's the same thing. Like it's not on the woman, it's on the two friends being nasty. That's just how.
No, but I think that's kind of weird. You don't have any loyalty to somebody that you used to like seriously date.
Nah.
So you don't have loyalty to like people that you once were in very serious relationships with. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I think we kind of glossed over like another good talking point here. So this kind of all started because Joan wanted to get married and she brought it up to her ex-boyfriend and he wasn't with it. So like again, question, right? So they were only dating for like a year, I want to say. Was Joan in the wrong for like pushing marriage onto her boyfriend,
This is
or
funny.
was she actually right?
This is funny because this was a Twitter topic today. I saw it.
Oh yes, because
It was like some video where some guy,
Deval and Kadeem.
yeah, and he was like, I forgot what the Twitter thing was. Basically, she was like, I want to get married, basically saying that's her intentions, or we should revisit it. And then he was like, you were putting pressure on me, and that's just funny that this is the talking point. But um, I guess that's what's your question? So you're saying, was it pressure? Was she putting him pressure on him?
I guess like who was in the right and who was in the wrong in that type of scenario, right? So if you've ever been in a scenario where you've been dating someone for like let's say a year or maybe more than a year, and one person wanted to get married and the other person just wasn't ready yet, who was in the right, who's in the wrong?
Okay, can for the purpose of this conversation, can we like simplify this more to like, and y'all can push back if y'all don't want to, but more into like I think it was more so for Joan, and I think we see it as like the show goes on, like she really needs like intentionality. Like she craves like she needs everything, every next step, everything to be like full of intention. Like yes, I get it that like she was asking him like, oh, like let's get like, like when are you gonna admit, like she was pressing the marriage thing, but I think like the foundation of that is like she just wanted him to move with a bit more intention. Do y'all get what I'm saying?
I think
No.
you just gave us a woman perspective, which is because
Okay.
I
I mean,
didn't.
well, that's what I'm
Like as
for.
a nigga, I would have just been like, oh, she's trying to get married. I wouldn't even think that she was trying to. This is just for me being a dumb man. Like I would have just been like, oh, she's like she has a time where she wants to get married, and she's saying, oh, is this happening or not? Because if not, there's another nigga who will marry me. That's how I thought.
That's the vibe that I got too. Like, okay, if you're not about it, I can easily find someone else.
Yeah,
That was like kind of the vibe that I kind of got. And then like she kind of brought like that attitude because I think she was in a drought leading up into this, and she realized like he rebounded and got with her best friend, and that was a very triggering moment for her.
yeah, that's nasty work, man.
But I also feel like, you know, sometimes like as a woman, you have to like, okay, how old is Joan allegedly in the show? Like
29.
she's turning.
She's 29, I think.
It was her 29th birthday that she got invited. Well, Tony brought homie to.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, let's just say like whenever that happened, like she was like 28, right? Like, okay, 27 at the youngest. I feel like as a woman sometimes, and granted I'm not that old yet, but that's not even old, but I haven't reached that age yet. I feel like sometimes, especially with men, like men will, and y'all know this, y'all will do as much as a woman will allow you to do. So it's like, if sis never be like, hey, what's up here? Like, what's going on? Y'all will just continue to kind of do whatever you want because you have access to this person. So I feel like kind of in like Joan's defense, to be clear, like I really don't think, to me, what Joan kind of presented to him was an ultimatum. And I hate being like, I ain't never gonna do this, I ain't never gonna do that. But I just feel like by the time you start offering a man an ultimatum, you already have the answer to what you're looking for. But I do feel like sometimes as a woman, if you want to like, not have your time wasted, you gotta put like little like bumpers up. Like, when you go bowling, they got the little bumpers in the lane, like to guide you back. Like, I feel like you have to be kind of like, no, like what's going on? Like, what's up? Like, what's the timeline? Like, what are we doing? Because if you don't, like, you'll look up and you'll be in a whole situation ship with a man for like 5 years, it's turning 7 years, turn to a decade, and look at you with no ring. Or not saying because every woman doesn't want a ring. Huh?
And then he ends up with your best friend.
Right. all because and then that's like you're joking about that, but I do feel like also like a lot of men, they try to like throw that back in your face, like, well, you never said like you were cool doing this, you were cool doing that, and like such and such came along and made me what, you know what I'm saying? So I would not have done what Joan did, but in her defense, I do feel like sometimes you have to speak up and say something, because if you don't, you'll be sitting there and like things will be happening like to you.
Facts.
Interesting. That was a good point. I mean, I didn't really consider that at all.
What would the next talking point be? Let's keep it moving.
So let's talk about like introducing Maya to the girlfriends group.
Yep.
Right. So if in case you didn't know, I don't think we did a good job explaining it, but so Maya works for Joan. So we can talk about should you become best friends with like a manager employee type of thing? We can talk about that a little bit later. But basically, like Maya works directly for Joan at the law firm. Joan's boss is absolutely hilarious. We'll talk about that later. And so Joan invites Maya out, and then she becomes a lot closer to her. However, Tony, Joan's best friend, is starting to feel a type of way that Maya is starting to take her away from her. So we can kind of dive into like that little relationship and that little talking point there.
Um, so just to the first thing, like I think it's cool if you get tight with like it's never really happened to me where I would get tight with my manager. Like this is the first time I've ever had a manager close enough in age. Like he's been texting me like basketball shit like during the finals, but I'll never be a homie with him. But it's just like I do think you should leave work at work and like your friendships, if that just to touch on that point. But the whole Tony Maya thing was weird to me because
Interesting.
this is actually something that I was speaking with my friend with last night. I feel like women relationships and guy relationships are very different. Like if you the ties turn, like let's say me and Kev are hanging out and Kev got really close with he's in school at Howard. So let's say he got really close with his classmate. I wouldn't be like, oh, this like who is this guy? Like I wouldn't have beef with him because Kev's hanging out with him all the time. You know what I'm saying? But I could see that for women because I feel like their relationships are a lot. I don't know, want to say deeper, but it's like a lot. The dynamic is a lot different than men.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of go all the way back to, I want to say, middle school. They kind of grew up in Fresno together, went to UCLA together, and been girlfriends throughout their entire adult life. So it's been a long time. So I think there's some truth to what you're saying. Like it was a deeper relationship, basically.
Mhm.
But also, I feel like a part or a detail of Joan and Maya's relationship that we're missing is that like Joan from the get go, I feel like Joan was kind of looking at Maya as like not like a charity case, but she was like, "Let me help this little girl out." Because like, remember, like I,
Yeah,
I don't remember like which season, but like basically they initially connected because like Joan went to like a career fair and Maya was like at the career fair and she was like, "Oh, you can be my assistant." Like she was signing her from day one,
mhm.
and she thought that
Interesting.
she was coming. She thought that she was coming from like a place of like I genuinely do believe she probably was coming from like she had good intentions, but it just did not come across that way. Like intent does not equal impact, and I think that like Joan and
Quotables.
Maya's relationship was like a very like real life like manifestation of like yeah you got these good intentions but like look at how it impacted this girl like you made her feel like your Maya was always cognizant of like what was going on and I would be too like you're not about to play with me.
That's actually like a really deep point that you touched upon because we might be jump up a little bit ahead
Yeah, I
here,
was thinking about
but
it too, but go to it.
in this season, Maya renews her vows with her husband Darnell, or I think they get married, and Joan kind of belittles and looks down upon like the style of the wedding because they're poor, like the dresses, how like they're doing everything by
I
themselves,
think she
how it
even
just
quote
wasn't
this might be a loose quote, but she was like, "I'm trying to introduce you to a new lifestyle." Like she said something along those lines to her, and I was like, "Damn, like
right.
that's crazy as hell." Like,
She single-handedly ruined this poor, not, I shouldn't say poor woman,
see,
this
now we're dragging
woman's
fire.
this woman's wedding basically because it wasn't up to her standards. So like, yeah, you touched on a really deep point there.
Do you guys
Um,
actually just to relate this to our lives? Do you guys think you've ever had friends that aren't in your so I don't want to say social class, but like they're not making as much money as you, and like you bring them around your friends that make as much money as you, and you feel like you got to treat them different, or like I don't know, kind of like that dynamic. Have you ever had that dynamic before?
Why are you like this? um
I honestly wasn't I
I don't I don't it's interesting because I feel like my friends have been around each other before. um Mixing my friend groups like they were different like socioeconomic statuses. I don't think it would make me uncomfortable. I feel like I have friends that are in different socioeconomic statuses, and even though I have like levels, but even though I have like friends from different walks of life, I feel like there's like one thing that all ties them together in common. You know, like I guess to answer your question, no, I wouldn't really feel comfortable. I've done it before, but it didn't really make me feel uncomfortable, so to speak.
Interesting.
So I'll say this. The answer is yes. And I'm going to tie this back. So Tracy Ellis Ross is in another show called Blackish, right? And on Blackish, they had an episode called Black Guilt. And what Black Guilt was is that they pretty much hired, I want to say it was a black nanny or someone like that. And
Oh yes.
the husband of the show was just like, oh yeah, you want to go to my garage and check out my new car? He's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry you're taking the bus or something like that. Like, I didn't mean to do that. And like he felt so bad, he started overcompensating because he's in a higher economic status and she was in a lower economic status. And I think the answer is yes. I think that like for us three, like we're kind of blessed to be in our current status, but like if we drive to like a certain neighborhood, we see like other people that look like us in a much poorer status, and we do feel a type of way about that. So yeah, I do think like there is some. I do think that we do have some black guilt. At least I do have some black guilt. I know Hana's looking at me like, no, I don't.
Honestly,
But
honestly,
I do.
I can touch on this like from my own personal life because I definitely come from different walks of life, and like I feel like I'm mainly friends with my friends that I grew up with, and it's just like I feel like there's times where I can't do certain things with certain friends because I went to a certain type of college. I got lucky enough to get a certain type of job. And it's just like when you kind of mix like your friends that can't do certain type of shit and then with your friends who like be out and do certain type of shit, it's always like it's to me it's nerve-wracking because I don't want my friend who's on this side to judge this friend and this friend
Right.
this friend. So that always comes down to how I feel uncomfortable. But yeah. I just want to touch on this because I don't want to, just for the sake of time. Hana wrote this in our OneNote. She said the fibroid episode was extremely important for Black women. I don't know if you want to touch that.
I forgot I even put that in the but yeah, but I feel like a couple things happened in the episode, but I feel like they're both kind of equally important. But I guess I'll speak to the fibroid part. Like if y'all know, so I think the two biggest things is that like Maya finds out that she has fibroids, and like for people that aren't familiar, like they're just like these normally 9 out of 10 are like benign like masses that can grow like in your uterus, like somewhere in your reproductive system, and they can be like benign at first, but then like if they go untreated, they can just cause all these different complications, and like other just life-threatening like issues that just like decrease the quality of your life. Like it can cause like heavy, long, uncomfortable periods, like all types of like crazy things, if it goes untreated. And it affects Black women like way more than it affects any other group of women. And I always just feel like it's like a secret, like it's not like it's like the elephant in the room, but I feel like it's like in the community of Black women, like that's not something we talk about a lot. Like now I feel like people are, more awareness, but it's like I know people that are really close to me. I like, that experience, and I also know people that like my age and younger. And I'm like, whoa, like I couldn't imagine. I personally physically have never done it, but it's just like I know that people all different ages, all different body types, because there's also like these assumptions that like, oh, you gotta be like bigger or thicker, but it's like they can affect anyone. So I think it was really important that they touched on that, but also just in that episode, Joan is like, she's presented with like, because if y'all remember, like in that episode, Maya was like, oh, like y'all gonna come to the hospital, like are y'all gonna come to the hospital like after my procedure? And that's when, who was Joan dating at the time? Was it
Marcus?
No, it was Ellis. Wasn't it Ellis?
No, it wasn't Ellis. It was the guy who she met at the
Marcus
gallery.
Oh, I think it was Marcus, right?
It was Marcus. Ellis.
Was he too clingy?
He was the guy.
Nonetheless, Joan had a boyfriend, and like her boyfriend had planned a date for her that night, and like she couldn't tell, like she failed to tell like both parties, like, hey,
it was Marcus because Marcus didn't have a job, and she needed, like, he was a sex addict, and he needed Joan to be there.
Sean was a sex addict.
Sean was a sex addict.
It was Sean.
Sean was a sex addict.
She's had way too many boyfriends, but
right.
So Sean was the sex addict, and I think she was with him, and she needed him, like he needed her to be there to
Yes.
take
It
his
was
minute.
Sean. Yep, it was Sean because he was like trying to like close on a deal or something, and he was like having dinner, and basically he wanted Joan to be there to like play like like play up the fact that he was like kind of like stable now and he has a life, a girlfriend, all that other stuff. So like it was like both parties really needed her, and it's like who she was trying to like appease, like satisfy both of them, and it's like she really couldn't. And I think what ended up happening is that like she ended up going to the hospital with Maya, like to be there for Maya through her procedure, but she still let Sean down. I'm like, that was her man. I mean, I don't really think it was the man for her, but that was her man at the time. But I think that's also just like really important because as you get in relationships, I do feel like you have to like learn how to balance your time in between like your significant other, especially if you're a woman, like between your significant other and your girlfriends. Like though I used to touch on this earlier, how like relationships with men and women are just different. Like a guy, like guys most times I feel like they don't care if like their friend gets a girlfriend, it's kind of like, oh, he's with his girl. But like women sometimes, depending on the friendship and the friend group, like they might make little catty comments or just like be like, are you always with him? Like, girl, why Joan always with Sean? And it's like, at what point, like, I feel like we gotta better manage expectations. Like, that's her man, bro. Like, how else are you supposed to build and like foster a relationship if y'all expect me to be with y'all all the time? Like, no shade. Like, I mean, I can't start a family with my friends. Like, I don't want to start a family with my friends. Like, I want to start a family with my partner and get to the, you know what I'm saying? So
That's definitely something that I know. Just like in my personal life, like my boy just got married, and I was talking, and I was like, damn, I really lost my wingman in my 20s because shout out to Chris, he just got married. He used to be my friend who used to just like, yo, I'll be like, yo, Chris, pull up. I got two. Like let's bust a move. Like he was that friend. So I definitely know it, men deal with it, but I'm more so be happy than hating like other women do. But what's up, Kev?
All right. So I thought you guys both brought up some good points. I kind of wanted to move it to like a different section, called the yikes moment of the season. So did you guys have like any moments like when rewatching season one that you just said yikes or just like cringed a little bit?
Um um
So
I
I
don't know.
got one.
I don't know if this. Yeah, you start us. You start
All
us.
right, so I got one, right? So for example, my yikes moment was I actually have two. One was we figure out that Joan, maybe it's Tracy Ellis Ross, who knows, has a toe sucking fetish. And then two, yes, it's episode one, Hana.
yeah, I
You
know.
know, don't give me that look. It's episode one.
Like, she looked at you like, Kev, you're nasty as hell. What did that? But
All right, and then my second yikes moment was basically, I want to say Joan was at the airport for some reason, and she ran into Maya's husband, and Maya's husband was eating lunch with a female coworker, and that kind of got blown out of proportion a little bit, and like I was just like, because I can feel his point of view. He was like, I'm just having lunch with a female coworker, but like, of course, like Joan and Maya kind of took it a little bit differently than that. So that was my yikes moment.
just touching on that before I get into my yikes moment. First off, this might be a hot take, but if I see Kev's girl out with the nigga, I'm minding my business.
Really?
I'm minding my business. Like I might like nudge Kevin and be like, yo, bro, like, I'm not really
Okay,
I'm not
let
really
me ask you
sure.
this.
That's the one. But
What if it looks like okay, so what if like it's really just nothing and you see her like physically just with a man versus like it being something suggestive? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like for
for
me, if
me, for me, if you're with another nigga, it's suggestive to me. So that's the reason why I'm like, why are you even walking with this nigga? Like, I'm
Interesting.
just the reason why I'm like that's just something I learned in life because I've had that situation in the past where I told my homie and he made it seem like I was in the wrong. Like, why were you like, you know what I'm saying? Like he kind of like pushed back on me, like, nah, she would never do
what
that. Yeah,
your friend,
it was a crazy situation. Me and him are no longer friends, but like I feel like that can end like you don't know what's the details, intimate details of people's relationship. You don't
that's
want to be the nigga to break some shit. Maybe he's going through something, maybe they're going through something. And just like niggas also don't like how niggas it's kind of what you said about playing up earlier, where it's like niggas want their there are other niggas to like look at their girl a certain type of way, and then once your homie start looking at your girl a certain type of way, then he starts feeling insecure, and it's just like I don't want to be a part of that. So I hope that he finds out, but it's not going to be to me.
Interesting. You might be swaying me the other side, actually. So, Hana, what's your take on that?
Yeah, Kev. No, I'm telling you right now. If you ever see my girl with another nigga, do not tell me, bro. I don't like. I'm Mario Winans. I don't
Well,
want to know. I'll find out. Trust me, but I don't want to know.
so like I have like girls that are just friends. That's it. So like if I go out and have like coffee or dinner or lunch with them, like to me it's just like we're just friends. Like there's nothing to it. But like I would hate if someone were to bring that to my girl and then like blow that out of proportion. I'm like, yo, we were just friends. Nothing happened.
Exactly.
But
And you
at the
could be
flip
wrong too.
side, I would feel a type of way if someone comes up to me and is like, "Yeah, I saw your girl hanging out with another dude." So, yeah,
Honey, you got something to say, or should I go to my yikes moment?
I feel like me personally, only going to speak from the I perspective, I've been in a situation where I was in a relationship with somebody that was like infidelity was a part of the relationship. So, and I felt like, well, I later found out that like there were people who could have told me, but no one ever told me. And to me, I just feel like it's like, dang, y'all, what the fuck am I a joke to y'all? Like I'm just a big joke, huh? Um, but
I'm just a big joke.
I also like I feel like the petty part of me be like, nobody told me I was getting cheated on, so why would I tell anybody that y'all getting cheated on? Y'all gonna find out, I find out. Like that. That's like I jokingly
oh,
be saying
interesting.
that, but like whole time sometimes like in true Gemini fashion, it would truly just depend on the day and how I felt if I would say something to that person. Now, the one like like exceptions to that, like okay, maybe because like my best friends, like significant other, I'm like, girl, I seen such and such. Like I feel like also like my intuition will tip me off if it's like, oh girl, like that was just this friend, or like, no girl, like you need to look into that, because in my head, like rather safe than sorry. Like I'd rather somebody come to me and be like, hey, I seen such and such like out, blah blah blah. I'm gonna just ask them about it, and if it's not that big of a deal, then it's not that big of a deal. But I don't know. That's a good
Actually,
one.
just real quick question. I don't want to stay on it too long, for time. But would you approach them though? Like if you saw them, would you be like, like I'm talking about the significant other and
No, I wouldn't approach
like
them.
would you just be like, would you give a head nod? Like would you let them know you seen them?
No,
Or
I wouldn't
like,
approach them because I don't want to be known as that like hating ass friend.
oh true.
I wouldn't approach
Interesting.
them, but I would probably only approach them like if they were with someone that like my friend had brought it up to me before, that like this person they were with like has caused a rift or conflict in their relationship. Like if it was like already known that like it was already kind of murky waters around this, then I'd be like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like I would like I saw you like, and then I would immediately tell my friend.
I guess so. I'll go to my biggest yikes moment. I would say is when Tony cheats on Greg. And the reason why I say that is because I've been having this conversation recently with women, and this is another hot take, but I think women cheat more than men. And I just feel like that's just exemplified in this show. Like I think men are known as the ones who cheat, but women be cheated crazy. And the thing is, most niggas don't even have the capacity to cheat. So it's just like
Yeah.
But
I think there's I think 30% of niggas, like we're just talking about black men, have the capacity to pull off cheating. Like I think certain niggas, one, they may not be able to pull anything, and they're in a relationship because they can't pull anything, which I think is a vast majority of niggas.
that's
Or
mean.
two, they just literally they can't lie, so it's like I'm not even gonna put myself in the situation to cheat. But we're always judged by
But
the
y'all know,
that top
damn,
30%.
there are men out here who suck at lying but still cheat like your
Yeah,
stage
but those
y'all.
being the niggas that know they can get away with it. And Tony is like a nigga, and she knew she could get away with it. She was moving like that.
So I think you also kind of touched upon like, so that was kind of a theme throughout the
Yes.
entire show, actually. And one thing that I kind of picked off of that was income levels of dudes really do matter to women as well. Because I think Tony,
Yeah.
Elaborate.
I want to say, if my memory serves me right, that Tony cheated on a richer guy,
Mm-hmm. A way richer guy.
a way richer guy, right?
It was Maya Surgeon, by the way.
Right. So she cheated on a way richer guy. I think like Joan, I think also in the season kind of highlights like income levels as well, like being like an issue for her too. So like this kind of like highlighted that women take a man's income level very, very seriously.
You know what?
That's
And just to touch on your point, Kev, and I think that's honestly what makes it so hard for women to date, and I'd be feeling bad for them because it's just like, especially if you're really successful, it's just like now you've limited your pool because how many really successful niggas are there? And then after that, it's like the niggas who be really successful. Once again, these are the 30% niggas. They be like, I like, all right, like they the ones who be moving crazy because they feel like they can. So
or they end up like William, you know what I mean, where they're super
who moves,
rich,
but
but
William moves crazy as fuck. Like
Yeah.
William moves crazy, which honestly we could talk about because I think in season 1 is when William we only really talked about the girlfriends, but William meets his person he eventually married. Oh, well, gets engaged to. In season
Wait,
1.
but before we go to the William thing, are we moving on to the William
No,
thing?
no, we're not. No,
no, no, no,
you're gonna have
because
you're gonna have your yikes moment. But I just want to say,
Oh.
like, William was crazy, but say your yikes moment.
No, I said just responding, like agreeing, as the only woman here in this conversation, but like agreeing to the fact that like women, like they just have it real bad. Like I think when it comes like, okay, I feel like if you're a woman of a certain like, like a successful woman, like you have a college degree, you have a job, like you can sustain yourself, like all those things, like the pickings get real slim. And then I feel like you have to start like sacrificing, like, okay, I really like this guy, blah blah. He makes me feel nice, like all these other things, but like he doesn't make the amount of money I would want my ideal partner to make. And so it's like you got to start like settling, and then all these issues just like it's just so it's ghetto. And then I guess my yikes moment for me was when, do y'all remember when like Joan was dating like one of her clients, and essentially this crazy lady like pops up to the office?
yes, because he was married. That was actually
Well,
hilarious.
he wasn't even married, right? Like, wasn't it like what didn't it end up like Tony was using Joan's house like to hook up with like one of her boyfriends? That was like it ended up being some big mix up. But to me, that was just the biggest yikes moment because regardless, like whatever the case might have came out to be, I'm still looking at that lady crazy because she popped up to somebody's job about a nigga. Like, what are you doing? Like, I just feel like when it comes to situations like that, why are you checking other like people outside of your partnership? Like, you should be coming at him. Like, you're trailing people, chasing people down, going to their place of employment. Like, are you well? Like, that was a yikes moment
She
for me.
clearly was not well. Like,
She
Women do that
clearly
all
wasn't.
the time. And honestly, I just be wanting women to stop making fools out of themselves. Like, I always have this theory, like if a man like does something I don't like, I'm gonna silently pack up my things and go. Like I like the whole creating a scene thing is like either you want to stay with him and be quiet about it, or you're just gonna go and still be quiet about it. Like why everybody gotta know that? So that was my yikes moment.
That's a good moment.
that was a good moment. What you want to touch on next? I know we had in here. We were talking. We didn't really talk about Lynn, but um,
A freaky bum.
basically, I wanted to ask you guys. It's probably be one of our last talking points. Have you ever enabled your friends? Like, have you ever been like for example, I thought it was crazy that Joan let Lynn live with her for 8 years. Like, I've never had a friend that needed that, but
Yeah, and she moved in with
Let
Tony
your
right
friend
afterwards.
yeah,
live with you for 8 years.
yeah. So that means since she was like 21, she was taking care of Lynn.
I think they were incorporating college as well, if I'm correct.
Yeah, because she was 21.
Yeah.
So that's crazy to like, and this is all. It's not like Lynn was paying them back either. It was like literally like free.
Lynn was a straight up freeloader off of them.
Like that. Like, would you do that for a friend? Would you cut them off? Like, how would you handle that situation?
I never
I would cut
personally.
them off.
So I would say that, but I don't know if I actually would do that because like I don't want them to like end up homeless or on the streets or something like that. Like if you know someone like that long, like, they basically become part of your family, and like you kind of want the best for your family. So I don't know. Like I can't like I know I'm a Joan hater, but I couldn't like fault Joan here on this one. She was in a tough situation.
Facts. What about you?
No, it's slow for that. Like, you're not like no, you're not. Like, she was just a bum. Like, it wasn't even like she was like trying to like figure something out. Like, I think I could have had a little bit more like empathy for her if she was trying to figure something out. She wasn't even trying. Like, she just was doing whatever because she knew that she could fall back like on her friends. Like,
Facts.
Liv
That's a
was
good
wild.
point.
And they kept saying it to her too, and she was just like, "Oh, like I have you guys. Like, are you guys playing? Like,
Like,
but
she could, like, it was just like, okay, it's one thing, like, if you can't like find your own housing or secure your own housing in a like market like LA, okay, cool. But it's like you can't even pay for a $20 salad. Like, what?
And she had like mad diplomas and degrees too. Like she was
Right. That
highly
was
qualified.
he was a professional student."
Yeah.
But yeah, I know people like that practice like avoidance with school and real life. Like, people go back and get like more degrees and more degrees. I'm like, what are you doing with all these degrees?
Talk. Are you talking about Kev?
No, no, no. I think she was talking about Kanye's College Dropout album. I think she was kind of like harking back to that.
Shout out to Howard and Kevin, NBA program.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
But yeah, actually, one thing that I wanted to talk about, which was one of my main talking points of this, was this 3-month rule. I think
Oh yes.
women ended this because I don't know any women operating like this. I mean, there's definitely times where you get past it, like 3 months, of course, but I'm saying like I have never met a woman. Well, yeah, I don't know. I've never met a woman where it's just like, yo, till this date, it's clip. Is that a thing still? I want to text y'all.
I feel like if they're nowadays, if they're incorporating a 3 months rule, they're probably not that into you. That's my philosophy.
So wait, my first question is: so there still is a 3-month rule? Like
Is there something?
I'm saying, like where they communicate it. Like in her head, she might be like, "I'm not giving it up easy." That's cool, but
I feel like if
actual 3-month date, that's nuts.
I feel like if a woman brings that up, every guy's thinking like, this ain't gonna last. Like, all right, how soon can I break this 3 month rule? It's a challenge.
I feel like communicating it like to a man is like kind of like you kind of stick your foot in your own mouth. Cause like you just say, like, how many niggas are gonna be like, okay, cool, love that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I feel like I've tried to practice, not necessarily like 3 months, but I've tried to, just because like for me personally, like I feel like sex to some people is like they can engage in it casually. They can kind of do like, sex, different people value sex differently. But for me, it's kind of like I need the emotional, like it can't be superficial. I need the emotional there, like for it to be like great. Like, so I just feel like in my head, I'll internally try to practice it, but I am not by any means. I'm never saying that to a man. I might say something along the lines of like, oh, like you, like I hope you don't think, like I might say something along the lines of like this ain't that, or like I hope you don't think, like kind of like maybe like jokingly or playingly, but I would never explicitly sit a man down and say like, hey, like we got to get past 90 days like before you get some pussy. It's just like I'm not saying that, but I feel like there are some women that kind of still practice that mindset. I don't feel like it's as popular because I feel like now a lot of women are like, it's popular to be like, yeah, like to take niggas down. Like that's the thing.
So I will say this. I think the character that plays Maya and God, I'm fucking his name. Not Maya, Molly on Issa Rae's show on HBO.
Yeah. Oh, she
Oh
practiced.
yeah.
Insecure. So she has the rule where like she's not having sex until like you propose to her, which is like the next extreme.
That is
Which I think
ludicrous.
That's ludicrous. Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. Like, and no shit, like I know there's people who do things like that for like religious reasons, but like to be very honest and like can't like religious, spiritual, whatever y'all want to call it.
Yeah. Let's not
To
be
be like,
offensive.
huh?
I said let's not be offensive.
Yeah, I don't want. I'm not shitting on nobody. But I just like you gotta be realistic. Like, how many relationships really just be like what if you really y'all kicking it for all this time until he proposed, and then y'all go to fuck and like the dick some trash. Like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do then? You just sign your ass up for another like waiting until what I'm
They're just
saying?
gonna
Like,
cheat. That's what women do.
it's just not realistic. Like the proposal thing, like till someone proposes. So you mean like you're gonna enter into a lifelong something that's meant to be a lifelong commitment without knowing what the dick is hitting on? You're crazy.
I agree. It's absolutely crazy. I also think like marriage is just a legal contract. So like you can be like married to someone and not like go through the whole like ceremony and whatnot. That's one, it's a really expensive thing. Like a guy spends a ton of money for like a ring to propose and gets like nothing in return really. This is a really expensive process. So it's just like a put that on some guy as soon as you start dating. It's just nuts to me.
Right, that's a fact. Actually, one last thing, just touching on 3 month rule. Have you guys ever heard? This has nothing to do with anything, but it was just touching with the 3 month rule. Have you ever heard guys 3 date rule? So I know
What?
I know some dudes who operate like this. They're like, if she's not with it after 3 days, like I've never talked to her again.
Oh, yeah.
And like I used to think that was crazy, but the older I get, it's like I understand why niggas is moving like this.
No, yeah, I get why they was saying
Because this
that.
shit is financial. Like it's like I don't even want to be. I can send my money elsewhere.
Yeah, because
But yeah, I know
dates
certain
do
niggas like
kind of get
that.
expensive after a while.
What?
That's the new 3 month rule.
Y'all are grimy.
Look, I
Y'all-
mean, it's like guys are more physical when it comes to relationships, so we kind of want to know, hey, is she into me or not?
You're being misogynistic, Kev. Women are physical too.
I apologize.
Quality.
Okay. I retract my statements. I apologize.
So what was you said? Just to wrap it up.
Yeah, so just to wrap it up, I wanted to do this segment called Girlfriend of the Season. Yes, the guys are included in this as well. So like who was like the main character that you think kind of won the season for you guys?
Season 1, never gonna be Joan for me. It's William. Like William's the man. Like I don't know. Like if William, like William is the man. He found his lady this season. He started off real awkward. He looked like the guy who got no woman. He broke out of his shell. He became Big Willie. He's the man.
What?
Talk about a plot twist. He went from a nerd to Big Willie in one season.
Okay.
Are y'all gonna say who you're
Debatable.
Hana, you go next. I'll go last.
I'm trying to think. The girlfriend for me.
It could be a guy too. It doesn't have to be a girl.
It's not
But
William. It's not gonna be William. Okay, everybody just chill. It's not gonna be William.
it could be Darnell too.
Nah.
I never cared for Darnell. Do y'all? Okay, we can get into this later in other episodes. Darnell was jealous of Maya.
Season 2, season 3. Let's not talk about it now.
Should we say RIP to Darnell's actor for season 1?
Oh yeah. RIP to Flex.
RIP to Flex.
Flex is gone.
Wait, I kind of feel like I want to say like the girlfriend of the year for me was Tony. I think it will 100% would be
cheating.
No, like I said,
This
the
is
girlfriend
awkward.
of the year for me would have been Tony, but I feel like Joan like fucked that up because at the end like Tony was fake sad. You know what I'm saying? Like because Joan was running her mouth too much. But I kind of also want to say the girlfriend of the year for me is Maya because she's getting. I mean, of the season, she's getting elevated. Like she has this assistant job at the she's like an EA at this law firm. Like her man just got her vows renewed. So it's a mix between like Maya and Tony for me.
Dope.
But I'm leaning towards Tony.
Of course, because Tony's the best. At least she's the best for 6 seasons and then left. Anyways, so for me, I have a plot twist. The girlfriend of the season for me was actually Joan. Let me explain. One, why? I've been booed before. I'm okay with it.
I still got my drops.
All right, so Joan is the girlfriend of the season here, not because she's the main character. She starts all the drama we're talking about. She holds it down for her friends. She held it down for Lynn. She let Lynn live there for like 8 years rent free so that she can build and improve herself. And then towards the end of the season, I want to say like she took the girlfriends out to Jamaica. She paid for the trip to take them out to Jamaica. So I don't think we should sleep on that really at all.
So just
And,
because she's the richest friend, she's the girlfriend of the year. Wow.
and
She didn't even feel that.
and in terms of like Maya's relationship, when she thought Darnell RP Flex was cheating on Maya, uh, she didn't went directly to Maya. She kind of asked Maya, "Hey, if something was going on, do you want me to tell you, yes or no?" Maya said no. Keep it to yourself. Lynn was not Lynn. Joan was like, "Sure," and then Maya was like, "You better tell me." So, you know, I think she kind of won this season here. This might be her only season, but I think she won it though.
I like this segment. I'm excited for the next couple ones that we do. But that's it for what is this? I guess episode 1 of Oh Hell No, the girlfriends review. Make sure you guys subscribe to What You Expect. You can go to our website to subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you follow me, Kev or Keith, whatever you want to call him, and Hana. So we'll be back. I don't know how frequently we're gonna do this, but it should be done soon because we all have already seen season 2. We should have guests, hopefully. So we'll holler at y'all.
Peace.